Okay, it's a beautiful sunny day, perfect for an outdoor project. Not too hot, but lots of light. So I decided instead of making a mess in my barn, I'm going to do this outside. All that sawdust will definitely be less of a problem for me. So I'm setting up my battery-powered cobalt saw out here and getting it all set to go. Battery's fully charged. I want to see how long it will last. I got to make a lot of repetitive cuts, and I believe the battery should make it all the way through. First thing is I've got to set up a stop block. I'm going to make 10 planters, and I'm going to be using fencing for outdoor wood fencing planks. They're nominally 5.5 inch wide and about 6 feet long. I'm going to be cutting them down into 14-inch pieces. Now I need 10 planks for each planter. So that tells you right there I have 100 cuts to do like this. So the repetition is old and boring, but it gets done. Once I get the sides of the planter cut, then I have to cut 10 pieces for the internal support for the base that holds the pot. It also adds some additional rigidity to the base of the planter. You'll see later on when I do the assembly on that, how that works. All I'm doing is adjusting my stop block, make sure we're right, measure twice, of course, and away we go. Now these are just some of the little offcuts. Couple of notes, these planks for the fencing cost $1.39 each. I got, it takes 2.5 planks to make one of these pots, these planters I'm making. So if you figure the price of the nails and the stain, we're looking at less than $5 a pot, which I think is a pretty good deal. So I'll explain why I have to do this and not just buy some pots. Here I'm just going to set up a simple little jig to hold the side panels of the planter. Just make it easy to do the assembly. Make sure that everything's lined up. I've got to put 2 boards together side by side, and I have 40 sets to make to get the 10 pots. Now I said it takes 10 boards to do the 10 planters. The other 2 14-inch will be ripped in half and cut diagonal for a top frame. You'll see that a little bit later. Okay, these are just little offcuts from the planks, and the bottom one there is 1 inch high, and that's going to use to support an internal board that I cut earlier. And its job is, of course, to keep the pot off the ground and reinforce the planter itself. Now I'm putting 3 nails in each one of these, so on each side of the plank. And I want you to take special note here when I do this. I'm driving these brad nails in diagonally into them at the top and bottom. The idea is you're going to get more contact area if you run diagonal than straight through. And I flip it over and I face nail the other side of the panel diagonally as well. Now what that does is those nails are going in and they're crisscrossing internally in the structure, giving it a much stronger connection. Since I'm not using glue, this is important. Here I'm setting up a quick jig so I can make the top frame, the decorative frame that reinforces the upper part of the planter. Now these are the other 14-inch pieces that I ripped in half and then cut 45 diagonals on them. I would show you the video, but the camera evidently didn't want to take video of that particular operation. It's just boring anyway. I ripped 20 of the planks in 2 and then used a chop saw to cut the diagonals. It's straightforward stuff. Now here I'm corner nailing them. Just going around and driving 1.25 inch nail into the corners to reinforce it. Now this little jig, I could have done better if I hadn't have made the one corner closed in where I can't nail it. See, all the other corners are easy to access, but I wasn't thinking ahead. But I only need to make 4 of these, or 8 of the, or I only need to make 10 of these things. So it's no big deal to pull it out and then do a last little nailing on this last corner here. You see, I kind of trying to figure out how to get it just right, but it's no big deal. Now the fitment on this is not super critical. Remember, this is decking, or not decking, this is fencing boards. It's going to be exposed to the weather, heat, cold, wet, dry, and it's going to dimensionally shift all over the place. So fit it up nice as you can, but don't stress out over it. Remember, it's all kind of rough sawn. All right, here I'm taking those panels and I'm going to tie them together. Now here I'm using 1.5 inch brad nail. And while you only see 2 going in, I actually use 3, 1 at each end and 1 in the middle. And I'm just doing a lap joint all the way around so that I have consistent boxed planter. It's nice and square. Again, there's no glue. Now here's that little 10.5 inch interior brace board, and that lays on those bottom boards, and I nail it to that, and that sets the dimension of this thing, keeps it square, and it gives me a place to set the pot when I'm ready to put a pot in there. And here's the last little bit of fit, but you can see it's consistent. It's nice and snug. You don't have to force it, but you got to finesse it to get it just right. But once it's together, it's in good shape. It looks good, square and plumb. That bottom board is real important to do this, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, the upper frame. This is going to get 3 nails on each side, and they're going in diagonal. They're also 1.5 inches. That gives you a total of 12 nails holding that down to the upper structure. Again, no glue, strictly nails. I don't know how long these things will last. I'm hoping they'll last a period of time, but I don't know. Now here's just some decorative trim. This trim is cut 13.5 inches long, and it's just the stuff you get at the home place for making lattice. Comes in a bundle of 100. They're about 1.25 inch wide. Now here's something you need to note. That board down there in the bottom, that's where I'm setting a couple bricks. All we're doing is we're going to add some mass to this thing so that it's less likely that the plants will tip over in high winds. And then the pot just sits down inside it. Easy peasy. Now they haven't been stained yet because my daughter's party is going to happen in a few hours, and I want these on the patio. Here I'm just putting some fertilizer in the pots. These are right from the big box store. I'm watering them, get that fertilizer down in there, make sure the soil's wet. And now I'm going to add some pine nuggets. I kind of like the pine nuggets. They're big and chunky, and they just look nice. But I'll put those right on top. That'll hide the pot. They won't fall through readily into the bottom of the thing, which really won't matter if they do, but they pretty much stay where you put them. And then, of course, you water them as well, and that way they'll absorb the water, they'll keep the moisture in the soil, your plant will be healthy, and they look nice. And this is why. I had to get these done for her party, and I would have got this done sooner, but the powers that be decided that while we could shop at Lowe's, we couldn't buy anything from the garden center, anything from the paint center, or anything from the carpet center. So I had to come up with something really quick and really fast and really cheap. Here it is, one of the things stained. I just used a decking stain. It's should hold up just fine for the summer. I don't know how long these will last, but I spent a total of $50 making these. I didn't go to any extremes to make them look fancy. You can see I used the wood as it came out of the saw with all the flaws and defects. Anything that was a solid piece, I used it. If there was something that had to split, I tossed that one. But for $5 for a nice wooden planter, they're solid. They look good. I'm happy with them. And here is a picture of it on the deck with a plant in the pot. I think they look great. The reason the bricks are in there is because these palms act like a sail. When you get a breeze, they sway in the wind and they will tip over. So the extra bricks did two things. They raised the pot up just a little higher inside the planter. At the same time, they added more mass in there to keep them in place. I'm completely happy with them. I hope you enjoyed the video. Questions, comments, let me know.
Shaping still? We're good? No, don't put your fingers in front of it, honey. All right, hit stop. All right, hit stop.